This is another episode in a series of videos about Boris Johnson's 10-point plan for a green industrial revolution. This episode will take a look at point 2 in the plan, driving the growth of low-carbon hydrogen. By 2030, Boris Johnson says that there will be 5 gigawatts of low-carbon hydrogen production capacity in the UK, and that a hydrogen town will be created in which there will be no change in experience for domestic consumers who will be switched from natural gas to hydrogen. The plan seems to assume that there can be simple like-for-like replacements or modifications of natural gas infrastructure and domestic appliances, enabling them to function with hydrogen. But while this may be technically feasible on paper, there is clear evidence that hydrogen is simply uneconomic. Boris's plans may have failed to take account of significant differences between natural gas and hydrogen, which are not equivalents. This adds to the mounting evidence that Boris Johnson is simply mad. The problem is that hydrogen is not an energy source, like coal, natural gas or oil. It must be produced, and it is merely a way of getting energy from the point of its production to its point of use. But its properties mean it's not even very good at that. Unlike natural gas, hydrogen is a difficult substance to produce, store, transport, and use safely. One form of hydrogen production is electrolysis, the conversion of water and electricity into hydrogen and oxygen. Another is the conversion of natural gas to hydrogen in a process called steam reforming. Both these processes are energy intensive, very expensive, and create huge technical challenges. In the newest forms of electrolysis, around 20% of the energy is lost. In steam reforming, nearly a third of the energy is lost in the process. To meet the requirements of the net zero agenda, the waste gases produced by reforming, including CO2, will have to be stored underground. Carbon capture and storage, or CCS, is again an energy-intensive process which reduces the amount of electricity available for more productive uses. This alone could double the costs of producing hydrogen. Despite UK governments offering millions in funding for CCS experiments since the 2000s, there is still no CCS plant in the UK and no proof of its commercial viability at grid scale. It is a unicorn, which may never be proven, despite the next 30 years of UK energy policy depending on its existence. After the hydrogen has been produced, either by electrolysis or reforming, it must be prepared for transport. Due to the low energy density of hydrogen gas at atmospheric pressure, it must be compressed, costing a further 25% of the output energy. This means that for 5 gigawatts of hydrogen capacity, an electrolysis plant would need 7.5 gigawatts of input, and a steam reforming plant would need more than 10 gigawatts of input. At first glance, it would appear that electrolysis would be the better of the two methods, but what counts is what hydrogen will be used for and what the alternatives are. On the plans proposed by Boris and other green campaigners, hydrogen production will take surplus electricity from renewable generators, such as wind farms, when demand for electricity is low. But according to the same people, new smart electricity grid infrastructure will also help consumers to take advantage of low electricity prices by switching on electric vehicle chargers during times of surplus supply and low demand.
And I think the amazing thing we saw today is the technology that allows you to do dynamic pricing of when you use your energy, which means you can cut your bills and use greener energy at the time we have it. Yeah, it means that you know that you're charging your electric car using 100% green energy, which is great. You can do it cheaper when no one else is using the grid, which lowers costs.
Hydrogen production plants and EVs would therefore both be acting to increase demand, pushing prices up. This means that in the future, there will not be any times of low demand. There will only be different degrees of scarcity. This will make hydrogen production from electricity uneconomic. Heat from electricity typically costs 4 times as much as heating with natural gas. The price of natural gas is low relative to its energy content because natural gas is abundant and easy to extract and easy and cheap to store in huge volumes. Hydrogen is not. Natural gas remains the easiest and cheapest way to heat homes and water and to generate dependable on-demand electricity. Converting electricity to hydrogen and then transporting that hydrogen through new infrastructure with much more demanding specifications will multiply the costs of heating many times over. Although Boris Johnson's plan only sets out the idea of an experimental hydrogen town, there is a very high probability that this experiment will be an expensive failure, not unlike Boris Johnson. The experiment will show that hydrogen increases costs far beyond what consumers are willing or able to pay, and that hydrogen has no useful grid-scale application. 84% of homes in Britain are currently connected to the mains gas network and depend on it for heat. In 2019, UK gas demand was 876 terawatt-hours. UK electricity demand was less than half of that at 324 terawatt-hours, nearly a third of which came from natural gas-fired generators. To eliminate natural gas heating using hydrogen produced from reforming plants, the total energy required would more than double. Producing this much hydrogen from electricity would require the UK's wind farms to be expanded by at least 20 times their current capacity. This would be expensive. At current prices of wind and natural gas, it implies at least a near tenfold increase in the wholesale cost of energy before we have even considered the cost of upgrading the gas transport network and domestic appliances. So Boris Johnson's plan to create 5 gigawatts of hydrogen production capacity means nothing. It cannot be part of a green industrial revolution, because rather than making things easier, cheaper and more abundant, it will make things more difficult, more expensive and more scarce, the opposite of what happens in industrial revolutions. It is nothing more than an expensive experiment, the success of which depends on non-existent technologies, which also seem likely to fail, not unlike some of history's most famous experiments with hydrogen.